And welcome back to the Delaware Boys Dynasty Football Podcast. Again, sponsor streamed by yours truly, Yards Per Fantasy. I am Stephen Chalmers, joined as always by my partner in crime, Mr. Ryan Odell. Say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Glad to be on the show tonight. We are doing our first mock draft post-draft, so we're going to see lots of changes tonight. Me and Steven are both curious what changes with the board depending on these landing spots that each player went to. I'm excited to get this one going. I expect lots of movement. We'll see how the board falls tonight.
Yeah, the draft did not play out how we wanted it to. We talked about that. The draft was a fantasy genocide. It was really bad, to be honest. Yeah. So we're going to play it out. We got 10 people here ready to join us, ready to draft. So let's pull the board up. Let's do it.
Board is going. I'm first up tonight. As soon as Steven starts this.
Board is up.
I'm ready for my pick. Not much has changed with the one overall for me. I don't think the top two change whatsoever. For me, it's still Caleb Williams, one overall, no doubt in my mind. Got all the weapons in the world loaded, ready to go for him. Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, added Romo Dunze to the draft, as well as backfield of DeAndre Swift. He's got no excuses. I'm excited to see him play his first snaps in the league. Now, given he's not my favorite person in the world, but nonetheless, he's going to have fantasy success.
Yes. There's no excuses in the world for this man to succeed.
Yeah.
Everything Chicago has done. You know, the curse of Chicago QBs goes back a long time. Jay Cutler is still their all-time leading single-season passer, and that happened in, I want to say, like 2011, 2012, when we were in high school. So let's just be honest here. He's got a lot of expectations, but rightfully so. So let's just keep going. We got Marvin Harrison at the 1-2, Malik Nabers at the 1-3. This really sucks.
They didn't get your guy to fall to you?
No, it's not that. It's just now I have to show my true colors here and tell you who I have at the 1-2 at the QB position, that being Mr. Drake Maye.
Still not sold on Jayden Daniels despite draft capital to go 102? Nope.
Drake Maye has always been my QB2. He's always going to be my QB2. You don't pull off your stances, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, true. But for anybody mobile, first five, we just had J.J. McCarthy go off at 1-5. But after me, it was Marvin Harrison. A great pick at the 2 spot. I think anything changes there. And then after that, things get interesting. You see in this draft in particular, 1-3 is Malik Nabers, who was a Giants landing spot, who I kind of expected to slide here. But he stays firm at the 1-3. And then Steven just took Drake Maye, J.J. McCarthy at the 1-5. 1-5, kind of high for J.J. McCarthy. Or are you in the ballpark of that?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
It's interesting to see him go before Jayden Daniels did.
Yes, I like J.J. McCarthy. We've talked about J.J. McCarthy a lot on these mock drafts. It's a great landing spot.
Yeah.
Just throw that out there. Minnesota is a great landing spot, a great place for a young QB to learn and to develop. Jayden Daniels, yes, we know the situation. We know Washington allowed the most sacks in the league last year. We know that overall the skill position unit isn't as good as it is in Minnesota. But we also talk about the rushing upside. We also talk about the elite tools that he possesses. I think he is a better quarterback than J.J. McCarthy.
Jayden Daniels?
Yes.
Wow. I never thought I'd hear that out of you. I mean, I agree.
It's nothing against J.J. McCarthy. I think he's a good QB. I think he's going to be solid for what he does. I think he's Brock Purdy-esque. I think that's what he's going to be. He's going to be a game manager, and he's going to be told to not make mistakes and not make bad decisions. Yeah. I think Jayden Daniels has league-winning upside. I don't think J.J. McCarthy possesses that.
We're about to get our first online auto drop of any of these. Our boy Team Pig over here.
He's here, too.
He's here, I think, picking, but he's about to auto draft. I think it's the right pick either way, no matter what goes here.
I like that little let's go team.
For Jayden Daniels, which I think is probably the pick here either way at the 1-6.
Yep.
Surprised he fell that far, to be honest with you. Hopefully we see him next round. I would imagine so, considering it says he's online. He might have just stepped away for a second, but we'll probably get him back in here next round. And then directly afterwards, I think Rome Odunze, the 1-7. Pretty happy spot now.
Yes. Patience. Yeah. Please practice patience with Rome Odunze. We talk about it a lot. You're going into a loaded wide receiver room with a lot of veteran options here. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift, all veterans in the league, and put their time in. They're gonna earn their snaps, they're gonna earn their reps, they're gonna earn their targets.
Yep.
Now Dunze might come out and just be an absolute monster. We've seen it. We've seen rookie wide receivers take over roles. When you're looking at vets like this though, in DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, I think that's less likely. Again, we all know Keenan Allen doesn't have a contract outside of 2024.
Yeah.
I think Rome Odunze's value drastically rises going to 2025. I think he's a hold at this point. We've talked about this a lot. But don't panic sell.
Oh, I would. No, I think Odunze, if you have enough patience for 1 year, I think it's going to pay off. I think we addressed it in a previous podcast when we were talking about the landing spots for each player, where we said that we could see Rome Odunze landing in that like 30, wide receiver 40 range this year, just because of the amount of targets that DJ Moore and Keenan Allen are going to hold. But nonetheless, Keenan Allen's out next year. Caleb Williams is still going to be a baller. You give it that 1 year, kind of like JSN this year, or JSN this previous season, I think you're in the money with Rome Odunze in this offense.
I honestly think, though, people forget this. Yes, he was great. Jackson Smith-Njigba was great. I think from a prospect standpoint, you're talking about a more polished prospect. Rome Odunze is a pretty solid prospect, man.
Yeah, for sure. Autoed, again, most autos we've had. Johnny P goes Brock Bowers the 1-8. Solid. I mean, if we're talking, he was going top 6 pretty consistently before the landing spot with Oakland. I think if you can get him at the 1-8 at this point, you're golden. Given quarterback situation there is not great, but that's still money.
I don't understand the panic on Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
I really don't get it.
Yeah.
And why I don't get it is we've never seen a tight end prospect like this.
Right.
The landing spot isn't ideal, but overall, people are worried about Michael Mayer. Are they going to run 2 tight end sets? How often is he going to be on the field? Stop. Michael Mayer, it's over. Brock Bowers is your guy. He's going to be an out wide receiver. Mayer's going to be used as an inline blocker. That's what it's going to happen to be. And he's going to compete with targets for Devontae Adams, but he's going to be the number 2 target share leader on this team. He's going to produce, and he's going to be a monster.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let you pick, and then we're going to recap the
For sure. So I have no problem taking him here. He was going the middle of the second, but I love the landing spot. I'm going Ladd McConkey here. Now that he's connected to Justin Herbert, I would imagine probably wide receiver 1 over Quentin Johnston. Either way, he's going to get peppered with targets. The only thing that I fear about him is this wide receiver room in LA is not done with Ladd and Quentin Johnston. It's absolutely not. Next season, I expect more movement. So I think this year, McConkey is the absolute home run rookie, but the following year could bring a little bit of competition. We'll see how his future goes throughout his life, but throughout his college or NFL career. But right now, I have McConkey the 2-1. I love it.
Yeah, let's recap the first round. Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison, Malik Nabers, Drake Maye, JJ, Jayden Daniels, Odunze, Brock Bowers, Xavier Worthy, wide receiver 4 off the board. Great pick. Jonathon Brooks, the running back, did happen to go into the first round this time. Love the landing spot for Jonathon Brooks. Let's hope he comes back from the ACL injury with as much explosiveness as he had prior into his Texas career. Ladd McConkey starts the second round. Brian Thomas Jr. at the 2-2.
Yeah.
And I like Ladd McConkey. Just to reiterate on your pick, I love the landing spot. I love the ability for him to separate at an elite level.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of talent, and I think him and Justin Herbert, JJ McCarthy, him and Justin Herbert are gonna mesh very well together. There's really no elite separator on this team. I mean, there's not a lot of competition on this team. Quentin Johnson drastically underperformed. Josh Palmer, okay. Jalen Guyton, okay.
Sure.
Gerald Everett's gone. Eckler's gone. What are we talking about here? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. And then I could see Brian Thomas over McConkey, and you guys could look at me like I'm crazy for taking Ladd. I'm situation, and I always say talent over landing spot, but in this case, I can't not take him where he's at. But you're on the clock. I'll let you make your pick.
Yeah, this pick is a really enticing pick here. I do think this pick bodes a lot of trouble for James Conner long term. Long term. I think James Conner is going to still have a role this year, but I do see this man eating into his share here. I'm a big fan of Trey Benson.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of the landing spot. I think this offense for a long time coming is looking very positive. Very excited to see how Trey Benson is used in 2024.
Yeah, I'm interested, especially because you've seen James Conner in that workhorse role for so many years now. Finally has some legit running back competition. We'll see where that takes him. And then right after you, another big riser in these, Ricky Pearsall, goes in the back end of the first to the 49ers, which I think changes a lot.
I hate his landing spot, man. I really
hate
do.
it?
I do hate it. I do hate it initially because when we saw Ricky Pearsall get drafted, we immediately thought to ourselves, who's out? Who's out? Yes, who's out? Trade-wise. Now, if that doesn't happen, and just say they get a deal done with Ayuk, and Debo and Ayuk are locked in, you still have McCaffrey on his contract. I can't recall if Kittle's on a deal. I believe Kittle's on a deal.
Yeah,
where's he going?
2 years, I think. Kittle does.
Where's he going?
Yeah,
he's just buried on the depth chart.
He's definitely buried. He's the wide receiver 3, which has never really been used that highly.
Is he? Or is it Jawan Jennings?
I mean, there's definitely a battle there, but I would imagine if they're taking somebody in the back end of the first, they're probably going to want to get him involved. That being said, he's very dependent on Debo or Ayuk being out of the building. Otherwise, Shanahan's never really used a wide receiver 3. And even when Jawan Jennings was having success, it was here, there, maybe once every 3 games he's getting involved. None of it really offered actual fantasy success. And I think unless one of those guys moves, Pearsall is kind of in that same situation.
Yeah. So it's nothing against Pearsall. I love the talent.
Right.
I don't think the landing spot's ideal. I see what they were doing. And like I said, and we were talking about during the draft, he represents a boat of work as like a Brandon Ayuk. He's the same type of receiver, elite separator, elite speed down the field, wins at all 3 levels, a contested catch monster. Love Ricky Pearsall. The landing spot, unless I see some movement from the San Francisco 49ers, and they are in cap casualty. Let's be honest here, they are. But until I see the movement, the landing spot scares me.
Yeah.
Choo, my boy.
And from what we've just spoke on, just to recap, Marshawn Lloyd at the 2.6, Bo Nix finally goes at the 2.7. He slid down the board. I kind of figured he would have gone a little bit higher given he got top 15 draft cap from the Broncos. The Jet, pick 32 with the Panthers at 208, 209, who is a big slider in the draft, Troy Franklin. Me and Steven still question what happened there. And then Jim Polk round the round out at 210. The fall of Troy Franklin, kind of wild. I mean, I get we're just sitting here as fantasy analysis. We just watched the film. We may not get the whole thing of Troy Franklin, but he slid further than I thought. The only savior he had was he's still with his college quarterback in Bo Nix in Denver. Now, will Bo Nix work out? Still yet to see, but at least he's got his college receiver.
I'm going to be honest, man. I would love to contact an NFL scout and ask him what I missed on Troy Franklin. Where did I go wrong in the evaluation? Because Troy Franklin is an analytical darling. he stands out. He's a monster. You know, he is Oregon's all-time leading receiver, receptions, single season receptions, receiver, and touchdown record. He holds those records for Oregon.
Oh,
he's an absolute beast. He's amazing against man-on-man coverage, single coverage, yards per. You know, his YPRR is phenomenal. He's just an analytical darling. He's everything you looked for in that aspect. He's a slim, slender receiver, but he knows how to get open. He knows how to use his length. He knows how to be crafty at the line of scrimmage. I just want to know what I missed. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got 30 seconds on this clock here. I'm going between a couple of different guys. One is one of my guys that has been going through. I'm going to stick to my word, and I'm going to keep drafting him until the wheels fall off. On top of that, I don't hate the landing spot. He's behind Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. Let me say his name. He's behind Kyron. But that being said, with the draft cap they spent on Kyron, why not just kind of plug in Blake Corum? I think he can give him spells. Honestly, I don't know about you, but me, I'm worried if I own Kyron for Blake Corum to come in and steal some touches.
I am as well.
We'll see how things play out. A lot of people on the realm of seeing kind of look at it as like a Tank Bigsby versus Travis Etienne situation. I think that the gap is much, much closer between Corum and Kyron than it was with Tank and Etienne. So I'm in on Corum still. Nothing changes there.
As am I. I'm a fan of Blake Corum. We've talked about him a lot on this podcast. The draft capital, we're talking about top 100 capital.
Yeah.
They're literally the same running back. Kyron offers a little bit more receiving upside, but there's no reason to think that he can't take some of these touches. There's no reason.
Yeah.
He's an absolute beast. Blake Corum has had a proven college career, an outstanding college career at Michigan, and I can't ask for anything more. He's a third-round pick. They use the capital. He has more significant draft capital than Kyron Williams did.
Right.
So I'm not saying he's going to take his job, but I am going to say this. I do not expect Kyron Williams to touch the ball at the level he did in 2023.
Why not? No.
Yep. Still going with my boy here.
There it is. Javon Baker time, baby.
Still going with my boy. He also fell in the fourth round, which I did not expect.
Yeah.
Jalen Polk went ahead of Javon Baker. He went in the second round. So Jalen Polk got the draft capital that everybody was looking for. Now, for me to tell you that I like Jalen Polk more than I like Javon Baker, I cannot do so. Javon Baker, a receiver that fell to the fourth round, just like Troy Franklin did. There has to be something that we missed. But Javon Baker, another analytical darling. Best part about the Patriots wide receiver room, there's not one single proven wide receiver on their roster. Most being proven is probably Demario Douglas.
Yeah.
At this point,
sad.
Those three, Douglas, Polk, Baker, are going to have a wide receiver one competition. Best receiver wins. And Javon Baker, quote unquote, has that dog in him. And I'm taking Javon Baker.
Yeah, out of the two drafted with Drake Maye, who's absolute home run stack here. Polk, I think. But to me, Javon Baker profiles more of an X receiver than Polk does, given he did get much higher draft cap. But I think Javon Baker can do some damage on the outside. Like I said, we were wrong, obviously wrong about Troy Franklin. He slid like crazy. But it's hard to see past the tape. You know what I mean? They passed the eye test, and sure, things changed with draft capital and all this stuff, and NFL team stuff we don't see stuff we don't. But I can't see a world where Baker, especially in the third round here, isn't worth at least a shot to play on the outside for their new franchise quarterback in Drake Maye. I mean, you talk about it. I saw two different trades with the Vikings and Giants. They're both trying to move up to go get Drake Maye and paying significant value for so. And the Patriots said no. So they got their guy. And I think they tried to execute something for him. And they sure as hell did it.
Yeah. I'm a fan here. Always have been a fan. So, like I said, I think Javon Baker is the better receiver. I'm a big fan of his 50-50 skills. I'm a big fan of how he plays. He plays so much bigger than what he really is in real life. He's just got heart, man. I'm a big, big fan of this receiver. So, at third round, I'm going to take my shot. I was taking him in the second round. Yeah. That lets anybody know how high I am on him.
Let me see. Jermaine Burton go right before you out of Cincinnati with the home run landing spot, but we saw him go almost undrafted in most of these rookie drafts. A few he snuck in, but for him to rise from not being drafted inside the 410 to being drafted at the 3-3 just by being connected to Joe Burrow is amazing.
He's a name that I told you that we need to watch out for.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of his concerns never came from the play on the field. A lot of competition throughout his time in Georgia, throughout his time in Alabama, but a lot of it came down to character concerns. A lot of those issues arose in the draft, and teams, he went at pick 80 to the Cincinnati Bengals. Great pick. If T. Higgins isn't going to be your guy long term, Tyler Boyd's gone.
Yep.
I think he can earn a role here. I don't know if T. Higgins is going to get traded or not. I expected him to get traded on draft day. It didn't happen. But Jermaine Burton, a name that everybody needs to keep their eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we saw Benson not go 3-5. Don't hate that, especially given the situation. You got this guy's new rookie quarterback. They always go. It's so stereotypical to say, "Oh, rookie quarterbacks go to tight ends." I think it's true, especially a mobile one like Jayden Daniels. I think he'll get work out the jump. I think Logan Thomas is still there for another year, but once he's out, gates open for Benson Not, and then Jalen right after. Will Shipley the 3-7, Roman Wilson, who absolutely slid way further than I think he should have at the 3-8. Malachi Corley at 3-9, Michael Penix at 3-10. Now, I want to take some time to talk about my boy Roman Wilson. I think he's an interesting prospect. But for now, let me get it out for my pick. Here, I got 3 players all at the top here that I'm going back and forth between. I think I'm going to take maybe one of the riskier ones with the 4-1. I'm going to go to Tavian Sanders. He got significant job capital with connected to Bryce Young in Carolina. I think he can do some work in that offense. But just to touch on Roman Wilson, he's not going to have much competition to be the wide receiver 2 in Pittsburgh.
No, not at all.
Not at all. I mean, I think the next best player is who do you guys have? We got Ray McLeod, right?
Quez Watkins.
I mean, not a whole lot going on. I think
we offer a lot of speed. There's a lot of speed in the Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver room, but there's not a lot of proven names, not a lot of hot commodities.
Yeah.
There's a lot of room for competition in Pittsburgh for the wide receiver spot. And remember, we have a solid history of finding and drafting receivers.
Right. Success rate's crazy.
Right. Yes. And there's a reason Roman Wilson stood out to us in the 3rd round. A big fan of Roman Wilson, a big fan of his overall game and how he plays. We talked about his blocking, and I think his blocking alone is going to keep him on the field.
Right.
I think he's your traditional slot guy. We do have Calvin Austin as well, but I do think that he can beat Calvin Austin out pretty easily, relatively easily.
Yeah.
I think Roman Wilson is going to earn a role. I truly do.
And then we live in a world where everybody's down on Russell Wilson, and I get it. But here's the thing. Let's remember, Deontay Johnson just left. All those targets open up. They're a winning organization year in, year out, no matter who the quarterback. They did it with Kenny Pickett, and I'm here to tell you, whether you want to hear it or not, Russell Wilson is a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett will ever be. And we've seen success with him, with Lockett and DK. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's going to get the same Russell Wilson that they had in Seattle. But I'm telling you, if he can win that 2 spot and get the second most targets in that offense, Roman Wilson's probably going to be a home run pick for you in the 3rd round.
Now, also proceed with caution. We have heavily invested in our offensive line. Heavily invested.
Yeah.
I do think it is a Najee Harris, Jalen Warren offense first. Then you got a big piece of the pie in George Pickens. George Pickens is going to eat a huge workload into the passing game. You still got Pat Freiermuth. He wasn't healthy last year. Then the wide receiver 2 is next in the pecking order. So just believe that this is going to be a run-first team. We're going to run the ball a lot. This is not going to be a pretty passing offense. You're not going to see Russell air it out 40 times a game. You're not going to.
Yeah. Any of the picks stand out there in the third round for you, or kind of?
Yeah, AD Mitchell.
AD falls to 3-2.
Yeah, that's a big.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely slid pretty fucking far. And given if I liked him at all, I would have taken him at 3-1. But he is on my do not draft list. Now he can bite me in the ass 100 times, and I got to eat it. But I'm not a AD Mitchell guy. Never will be. 3-2 is definitely too late for him, but he sure as hell slid.
There's a lot. And then Will Shipley, we've never seen him go third round. And now Will Shipley enters the third round, a great landing spot behind Saquon Barkley. Yeah. He's one injury away from significant touches in Philly. I love Will Shipley there. I think it's a great pick.
Yeah, Shipley there's solid. And then Jalen Wright with Miami. I mean, they'll kind of talk about it in the comments of this mock draft, but he also has a solid spot to earn touches when Mostert goes. And A-Chain, I hate to tell you, he hasn't really done much to impress me either. I don't say that quietly. He's okay, right? But he's not.
What?
He's fast. He's fast. That's it.
Buddy. I mean, I know you watched his 200-yard game. I know you watched that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he had his games, right? But pull up his game log, guarantee it. It's so spotty, it's not even funny.
I think you have to take into account his knee injury played a significant outcome into his early career as well. And then Raheem Mostert just got hot, and Mostert never stopped scoring. Mostert just never stopped. But anyway, let me make my pick real quick.
Yeah.
So typically Theo Johnson. There's a running back I really love here that I want to talk about with a significant landing spot, and it's going to be Kimani Vidal for me, running back to the Chargers. I love the landing spot here, guys. There's no significant competition. We're talking about, like I said, J.K. Dobbins, complete knee replacement, ACL or Achilles tear as well. Gus Edwards pushing the wrong side of 28 now. Not a lot of usage on his body, but Gus Edwards runs really hard. He's a typical north-south runner, takes a lot of contact when he touches the ball.
Right.
I don't see there being a long-term window for Dobbins or Gus.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Vidal is going to be the long-term running back for the Chargers, but if I'm taking a shot in the fourth round, why not?
Right. Exactly. Why not? And I think that comes down to, especially in the fourth
round. Oh, man. There's the
fourth round. Team Pig, baby. Taking in Theo.
He knew. It's just something I wanted to talk a little different about. But at the same time, Theo got a great landing spot as well. I don't think Daniel Bellinger is anything. I really don't. I think Theo Johnson could win the tight end one spot.
Now, what does that really mean, considering we brought in Nabers, who's probably going to eat so many targets? Doesn't mean much. But I will say, your boy got a spot on a roster. He didn't get buried.
He didn't go on draft. He got
Falcons or buried on the Patriots or anything like that. He's got a legit shot at tight end one.
I just want to show you this. I'm gonna say he didn't. He went in the draft. He didn't get on draft.
That's relatively high.
107.
Now that's the one that interested me, and I was hoping somebody was going to take him. Cade Stover, who played with C.J. Stroud in college, ends up in Houston late in the draft. Do you think that means anything significant, or do you still think that it's
absolutely not?
Still nothing? Okay.
Oh,
I got a little bit of hope.
You just signed Dalton Schultz. You just brought in Stephon Diggs. You got Nico. You have Tank Dell. You have Joe Mixon. Who cares?
Who cares? How can I Beachhead?
I would rather take Eric All, the tight end that the Bengals drafted.
Wow. Really?
Yes. There's a path to playing time. That has to stand for something.
All right. Anyway, estimate 4-8 to Denver.
I like that pick. I do.
I like the 4-8.
I do.
Yeah.
I do like Estime. I think he got a great landing spot as well. Unlike Braylon Allen, who we haven't seen be drafted yet. I think it's unfortunate. He goes to the Jets.
Right.
Unfortunate.
I think I would look at the same situation Charbonnet did last year with Seattle, and the same thing, that a young stud that going into the league at 20 years old gets stuck behind one of the best young running backs in the league in Breece Hall. And you hate to see stuff like that, but that's just business. That's what happens, right? Now Breece Hall goes down. They got money, in my mind, as a backup. Given you don't want to wish injury on anybody, but I think that's your only path to success for Braylon Allen is a Breece Hall injury.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I will never, ever, ever talk about an injury to Breece Hall. That's just that's not what we do. Breece Hall is a special running back. Also, to end out the fourth round, guys, Luke McCaffrey, significant draft capital as well. Great draft capital for Luke McCaffrey. Remember, I would say the Commanders' wide receiver room is typically younger, on the younger side between Dotson and McLaurin. But if you're looking for a third guy, Curtis Samuel is now a Buffalo Bill who will fill the wide receiver 3 role. I'm not saying McCaffrey is going to gain significant value here in Washington, but it's good draft capital. I don't mind the landing spot, so good pick. And another running back, big fan of Rasheen Ali. Glad he went in the 4th round. I think Baltimore's a great landing spot because, again, Keaton Mitchell is coming from an ACL tear. Somebody's got to back up Derrick Henry. I like Rasheen Ali. Although Keaton Mitchell was very explosive with the ball in his hands last year. We got to see how he bounces back from this knee injury. It's a significant injury.
Yeah, tough. It seems like every Ravens running back got hurt last year, and it's a damn shame. But, because that's what you get. Notably, Bucky Irving, not drafted whatsoever, was one of our darlings who I think was going in the 2nd round of a lot of these early, and is now going undrafted, stuck behind a player that profiles just like him in Rachaad White. So I think he gets buried with Allen, and it is what it is. But that being said,
I will say this. I don't mind Bucky's landing spot because I think there's no way the Tampa Bay Bucs allow a running back to touch the ball 350 times again. I don't mind the landing spot. Remember, undrafted free agents on the roster between Keyshawn Vaughn and Sean Tucker. Sean Tucker was active for 11 games last year. But again, who's the competition behind him? The running back 2 spots up for grabs. And again, I'm not saying he's going to earn significant touches in the offense. And we know that Bucky analytically did not test well. But his tape shows different. He has solid tape. And it's not a bad landing spot.
No. So at the end of these, we always go through best pick. I think we dodge worst pick. I don't love that segment of this. For me, the best pick is easy for me. I think Jayden Daniels at the 1-6 is money. Straight up. I think if you get him at the 1-6 in your draft, I'm doing cartwheels afterwards.
I was going to say the same about Bowers at 1-8.
Bowers 1-8. Sure. And I think that's strictly just landing spot. And people forgetting, always draft for talent and not for landing spot. Oakland is not ideal. I won't lie to you. But talent always wins out, no matter what.
The landing spot's awkward. It's not bad. It's just awkward. It's not a death trap. People have him pegged as a death trap. It's not a death trap. Remember, you're talking about a generational tight end talent. We're talking about tight ends that you've seen in your lifetime. He's better. He's better.
Yeah.
Everybody's overreacting to the landing spot. Please remember, if Gardner Minshew wins the starting job, he is a 7.6 career ADOT. He is a tight end lover. He loves the tight end. And who's the best tight end on the roster before he even steps on the NFL field? It's Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers.
All day. As far as past the first round, I think as much as I hate him, A.D. Mitchell at 3-2.
Steal.
Yep. Steal. Roman Wilson at 3-8. Also a steal in my mind. Given that does come with some caution, but if you're drafting, I think anything past the 2nd round in this draft, honestly, you're taking bets, right?
Yeah.
So I think Roman Wilson's a good bet with the Steelers. They have a great track record. And A.D. Mitchell is probably the wide receiver 2 alongside Michael Pittman with Anthony Richardson.
Is he?
He's probably their franchise guy.
Is he? Or is it Josh Thomas?
Huh?
Or is it Josh Downs?
Probably split in the slot for the rest of his career.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So, like, that's my question. I love A.D. Mitchell from a talent perspective. Right now, I have him pegged as more of a best ball darling, as like that kind of guy.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
So I asked the question. Typically, in my mind, the Colts offense is going to be more run first. You have a heavily dominant run first quarterback in AR. You have Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, who's now signed, locked in. He's the running back one for the Indianapolis Colts. He's a game changer running back. Pittman, a heavy target share guy. Pittman's going to get his targets. Josh Downs earned significant targets last year. I do think Adonai Mitchell will instantly beat out Alec Pierce. He's just that good.
Oh, for sure, Alec Pierce. Yeah.
He's that good. So, but what does A.D. Mitchell's piece of the pie look like? That's the question I have to ask myself.
Not very much, considering Anthony Richardson's probably not throwing the ball more than 400 times in a season. So,
right.
It gets rough, but nonetheless.
So, Matt, before we answer this question, I would like some context. Are we talking dynasty or redraft? That'll be the one thing I need to know. Dynasty or redraft?
Yeah. I'm assuming we're drafting from a dynasty standpoint, so it would probably be dynasty, but it'd rather be safe than sorry.
Yeah, because I can answer both the questions.
Yeah.
In redraft, it's Mixon. In dynasty, it's probably still Mixon.
I was about to say, I think it's probably Mixon in both cases here, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd probably go Mixon.
Yeah. I've never been huge on Ramondre, given he has been pretty productive in the league, but I think he's very replaceable as a running back.
I've never been a fan of any Patriots running backs.
Yeah. But Mixon, on the other hand, is on probably a top 5 offense, at least in my mind this season. I think they're going to absolutely ball. Maybe a Super Bowl sleeper team. CJ Stroud in that offense is going to absolutely ball. Last year, they added Stephon Diggs, added Joe Mixon, kept Dalton Schultz around. I think the offense is going to be really fun to watch, and I'll take any part of that offense. I think Stevenson's kind of stuck in a team that might not be the most successful, playing down in games, where he's not going to get as many touches as you might think compared to Mixon. They're going to start blowing teams out. They're going to start handing Mixon the ball, get those late game touches in.
Caleb Average, T. Law, JJ, London, Pickens. See, this roster is young. This roster is young and built to compete for a while here. Could go AD or Pearsall as well. No. Your wide receivers are really solid here.
Locked.
I like the start of Brooks and James Cook for running backs. Again, running backs are easily replaceable. It's the most replaceable position in fantasy football. It's Mixon for me. You want to get a piece of the veteran that's going to be a pivotal part of an offense on a winning offense. And for me, that's Mixon. And it's very easy. Mixon's going to be a league winner. Ramondre will not be.
Yeah. A big pickle for sure, given there's rookie talent there as well. But we kind of just talked about AD and
Pearsall,
who are both absolutely buried. Now, the landing spots are solid. They are. But you got to look at like the offense that they sit in. I think both of them aren't going to get more than 60, 70 targets in this season, to be honest with you. I think they'll both be fighting for that. Your team's young. I think you can afford a vet this late in the draft. I'm probably looking at Mixon as a big money value here, especially if you want to try and win now.
Kupp and Keenan also on the board. Oh, yeah, Kupp. Yeah, Kupp over the running backs and Keenan. Yeah, give me Kupp.
Kupp over all 3? 4?
Yes.
3?
Yes.
I don't know, man. Kind of fell off after Puka started going crazy. But no, I think
No, he had multiple 100-yard games after that. He's still a fantasy wide receiver one. Yeah, Mixon on the 3-year deal. Yes, the 3-year deal is nice.
Yes,
it is nice.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It is nice. But remember this. I love Mixon. I think he's in a great system. Remember, he's never been efficient with his touches. It's volume. Mixon is a volume king. He is. That's what he is. But I want, as long as Stafford's playing quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams, I want Cup.
I think I'm still mixing there. I had to be split, but
Cup for
Cup's going into what, year 31 years old?
What's it matter? Mixon's 27, has a running back with extreme usage on his body. There's no difference in the scenario.
Whatever. Nonetheless, we're split sometimes, but I think that'll about wrap up this show. Sorry to leave you in peril, Matt.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Cup there. He's
Good
gonna
luck
go
with the
Mixon
rest of your draft, buddy. I think you're off to a solid start given the roster that you sent us. I'm not sure how you managed to get AR, Caleb, and JJ on the same team, but
and T-Law.
Props to you though. Maybe look to sell quarterback. Maybe look to sell quarterback. But nonetheless, yeah, I had fun on the show. As expected, the board changed a ton. We saw people fall out of the top 40. And some people slip into the top 40. A lot of changes happened. I'm excited to get these rookie jobs going. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. Steven, got anything for the people before you head out?
Yeah, it is my long week, so this will be the last podcast of the week. I will see you guys Monday night. Brian and I will be back Monday night. We've got a lot of podcasts scheduled for next week. As always, if you guys love the video, like, comment, most importantly, subscribe. We appreciate all the support. We cannot do it without our sponsors on the yards per and DFF side. We appreciate you guys. As always, though, this is going to be it for us, and we're going to wrap it up here. And on that note, have a good night.